Welcome, beautiful souls. So today we are going to dive deep into the root chakra, okay? And before I begin, let me do a small invocation to Shakti Ma for her blessings to be upon us and with us. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Kundalini Rupena Samstita Namastasye, 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 Namo Namaha. So during the Kundalini awakening process, your chakra system, your astral body, your energy body is definitely going to come online, and you are going to experience life as energy, life energetically. So it helps for us to understand the basic 7 chakras. There are many more than 7 chakras, but for a basic understanding and a balance between the material and spiritual life, we focus usually on the 7 primary chakras. So today we're going to dive into the root chakra and why it is important, what causes blockages to the root chakra, and how you can help the root chakra to have a good flow, okay? So if you visualize a tree, I want you to imagine the lowest part of the tree, okay? And that part will largely be underground, so the roots of the tree that are hidden. That is your root chakra, okay? For the physical body, we could say that the root chakra is located between where the anus and the perineum is and the tailbone, the tip of the tailbone, okay? But chakras are not static, they are dynamic, they are always moving, depending on the flow, depending on the direction. So they're not exactly how we see them in the images. They are alive, they are portals of awareness, they are portals of life, wheels of life, essentially. And when we think about the root chakra and we think about the tree, using the analogy of a tree, okay? The health of the tree, the magnificence of the tree, the fruits that the tree bears are only going to be as grand as the nutrition that the roots receive. So if the roots receive the correct sunlight, the correct soil, the correct ingredients, the correct climate, temperature, then we're going to have a healthy, happy, fruit-bearing, flower-bearing, beautiful tree. But when the roots are neglected, when they're sick, when they're not provided with the correct environment, the correct nutrition, climate, then we end up getting maybe a sick tree or a tree that doesn't give us the full potential of its fruits, of its yield. And that's very much the same for us as human beings. So the root chakra primarily governs survival, security, safety, our sense of belonging, our sense of feeling belonged in this world, our sense of feeling belonged in our community, in our culture, in our family, in society, okay? It governs food, shelter, clothing, our basic needs. Are we getting those needs? Are those needs fulfilled, or are we always struggling? Are we struggling in our job? Are we struggling to make money? Are we struggling with those basic needs? So when there are blockages to the root chakra, okay, we will see at the physical, the material level, maybe we do not feel safe. We do not feel safe in our body. We do not feel safe in our environment. We do not feel safe in this world. We do not feel that the world is a safe place. So safety and security are governed by the root chakra. And because for a long time, the collective consciousness has been predominantly programmed in a fear and pain-based consciousness, most of us have root chakra blockages, okay? if we just look at a brief history of the world, if we look at what our ancestors went through, famine, war, atrocities, within the collective consciousness, there was a lot of fear, a lot of control-based programming. And we know that at the level of the root, we definitely inherit about 7 generations of energy imprints, if not more. 7 generations of ancestral imprints, if not more. So most people are walking around with root chakra blockages. And when the root chakra is blocked, so yes, we do not feel safe. We feel that the world is a scary and dangerous place where there is danger lurking around every corner. And as you see, that's very much similar to some animal consciousness, fear-based consciousness, okay? So when a person's consciousness is anchored solely into the root chakra, we can imagine that the awareness that they move through in life is a fear-based awareness. They are always in competition. They are always in survival mode. They are always in scarcity or lack. So they need more, they want more to feel safe, okay? More equals safety. Competition with one another. If the root is in a balanced state, you can enjoy the material life in any way. So material abundance will come to you, whether it is your house, whether it is financially, whether it is in terms of enjoyment of this material life. You do not lack for anything. Your status in society, you feel belonged, okay? You feel that, yes, you belong to your family, your tribe, your community, this culture, this society. You feel okay in the world. You can manage in the world. If the root chakra is highly activated, one can be extremely hyper-competitive, extremely status-oriented, a hunger for power maybe, that egoic need to be known, to be someone, to have a status, okay, to be recognized for their status, excessive need for material comforts. So it will be an imbalance, okay? There's a imbalanced state, a balanced state, and then when the chakra is functioning out of balance, and that is also, of course, an imbalanced state, okay? So what causes blockages to the root chakra? One is childhood trauma. Okay, childhood trauma definitely causes root chakra blockages because, of course, our childhood is where we get our first sense of safety and security in the world. And if we go even deeper than childhood, we can go to the womb. Okay, root and sacral chakra are not separate from each other. They are deeply interconnected with one another. Actually, all of the chakras are interconnected with one another, so we don't want to see it in a linear way. The chakra system is interconnected and it's very dynamic. A blockage in one chakra will definitely impact the flow, the rhythm, the balance of the other chakras. It's not A, B, C, D, E, F like that, okay? So if we just imagine the baby that's being born into the womb, the environment of the womb, the climate of the womb, the mother's internal state of being. So yes, even before one enters into the world, they can be already imprinted by life, okay? So you will come with your own karma, which is one thing, and then you will, depending on your mother's state of being, your parents' state of being, what they were going through when you were conceived, that will also impact your root chakra. So if your mother was internally very, very fearful, if during the time of her pregnancy, the environment around her wasn't conducive to that pregnancy, it wasn't, let's say, a stable, comforting, wholesome environment, if there was a lot of instability in the environment, if your mother was going through her own internal journey, her own processing, maybe she was fearful, maybe she was going through her own process of becoming a mother, that identity shift from being an individual to becoming a mother. And depending on how that change was being processed internally, And depending on you as a soul and your sensitivity, definitely there is a possibility that you could have been healing your mother. Okay, you could have been absorbing the energy imprints of your mother in the womb, which means that, let's say the mother was fearful, there was a lot of fear, there was instability in life, then maybe even at the time of your birth, you could have already been born with a disturbed root chakra. You could have been born carrying those survival fear imprints. And then depending on your mother, on the lineage, for example, your grandmother, you could also have inherited your grandmother's energy imprints. Okay, so that is how the root chakra can become unstable or disturbed or imbalanced even in the womb. And that's why womb cleansing is very, very important, especially for women. Men also have an energetic womb, but especially for women. And if you are planning to give birth, really go and do your womb cleansing. It gives you and your baby and the next generation a greater chance of that soul fulfilling its potential. So then now we move from the womb into childhood, okay? And unless the parents were on a journey of conscious awareness themselves, unless they were already embarked on that journey of going inwards, of bringing consciousness and mindfulness to that rite of passage of parenthood, some people are just simply not in awareness. There's no judgment on that, but definitely the childhood era, the childhood period is when children are most susceptible. They are like sponges. So our root chakra, the stability of our root chakra is also formed during the childhood years. If our home environment felt safe, okay, if we felt belonged, if we felt accepted, if we felt loved, if we felt nurtured during that period, maybe we would grow up with a strong root chakra. If we saw in our environment that, okay, there was no financial struggles, financially the environment was secure. Okay, you didn't see your parents struggling with material life. Your parents had secure, stable maybe incomes, or you had a safe home, a secure home, your home environment was peaceful, loving, nurturing, then the chances of you having a secure root chakra are going to be higher. If you grew up in a home where there was a lot of chaos, where there was financial instability, where there was maybe arguments over money, where people were always in a survival mode, where one or both of the parents were always in that survival mode in terms of finances, in terms of the running of the house, in terms of the food on the table, the shelter on the head, over your head, okay? If you grew up in instability, then the root chakra, there's a possibility that the root chakra would become unstable. And that you would see playing out as you move through life, okay, with your relationship with money, your relationship with feeling stable, securing yourself, securing your environment, feeling safe in the world, feeling safe in your body. If a person experienced sexual abuse or sexual trauma, definitely the root chakra will be disturbed. And one of the primary ways is, of course, feeling completely unsafe in the body and completely unsafe in the world. So that requires one to definitely get support and do work with the root chakra, okay, to feel grounded, to feel safe, to feel secure, and to anchor into your ability to generate abundance for yourself. Because we are all children of the divine, and abundance is our birthright. Abundance is our birthright. When we come into right relation with ourself and Mother Earth and the Divine Mother, abundance will come to you. And abundance is abundance at all levels, materially and spiritually. The womb blockages, we have covered childhood trauma blockages. So at the level of emotions, the root chakra gets blocked by fear and this will be fear from this lifetime. This can be fears from across your lifetimes. So an example of this can be if you were, let's say, a woman in a lifetime, and maybe you were burned at the stake because you were a witch, or any past life death closures. So any past life death experiences which were not given a proper closure, those energy imprints can still be blocking the root chakra, and that can manifest as extreme fear of death. But basically, root chakra governs all fears. So blockages will mean that there is, let's say, extreme fears. Now, fear can manifest in any form, okay? Any form, fear of anything, basically. So those fears are governed at the level of the root chakra. As root chakra comes into healing, as it starts healing, as it comes into its correct vibration and frequency, fear can be much less. Fear can be much, 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 much less, okay? And also we have to understand that there is a collective root chakra. Collective means at the level of the collective consciousness. So that is all of the collective field, all of the fear that has been there in the collective field for generations, for lifetimes, that is also stored in the collective root chakra, which we can also experience, especially during a Kundalini awakening journey. Because during the Kundalini awakening process, you will clear not just for the individual self, you will clear on behalf of the collective. So fear, okay? Deep-rooted fears. Second is rage, deep-rooted rage. This is another emotion that can block the root. Deep-rooted rage towards yourself, towards others, towards life. When can this rage be there? Again, if you take, let's say, the collective wound of the feminine energy, the suppression of the feminine, the collective wound where women were, the feminine energy and women, so the energy and then the gender, experience, let's say, suppression, oppression, violence. So that rage can definitely be there, and especially when Kali Ma's energies become active during the Kundalini awakening process, you can definitely experience deep-rooted rage. It is not wrong to experience rage. Sometimes rage is the correct response. The problem becomes when we sit in that emotion, when we live in that emotion, when we do not allow that emotion, which is an energy, to transform and transmute into something else. That is when there's a problem. So fear, rage, childhood trauma. When you want to work with your root chakra, the energy and element predominantly connected with root chakra is earth. So a simple way for you to understand how your root chakra is functioning, and this is very basic, is how do you feel about earth, the element earth? Do you feel connected to earth? Do you feel disconnected to earth? Do you have loving feelings toward earth? Do you want to run away from earth and go on to another planet? And the reason so I'm going to share my own experience, but I never felt belonged here. Ever since I was a young girl, I used to never feel belonged to earth. I felt that I woke up and I was in the wrong place, and I just didn't understand. I love nature, but I didn't have a deep connection to the earth element, which was funny, you know? And this played out in a lot of ways in my life, which was, you know, feeling directionless, feeling purposelessness, feeling insecure, feeling unsafe in the world, feeling definitely unsafe in my body, never feeling embodied, and manifested as extreme anxiety. So I lived 33 years of my life in anxiety, having no idea until my Kundalini awakening process started and the cleansing process started, the purification, and I did my womb healing. My root chakra got activated, and the first thing that started appearing when the Kundalini was rising after the bliss was fear, extreme fear. There was so much fear, and then that fear would manifest into my reality for me to alchemize it. But initially there was a lot of fear that was coming up, and of course that's because the Kundalini had started the process of clearing out the root. Another thing I want people to understand is, like I had said before, chakras are not, it's not linear. It's not that, oh, my root is getting cleansed, then it will be my sacral, then it's not like that at all. At different stages of your journey, you will actually feel the energy working through multiple centers at one time. You can again have a disruption or a cleansing at a certain, in a certain chakra. So, but it will never be like the initial purification. That's what I feel. I mean, that's been my experience 6 years down on this journey, that that initial huge activation that happened and the amount of fear I experienced then, with the blessings of Ma, I have not experienced that level of fear since then. A lot of those fears got cleared out. But yes, going back to what I was speaking about, close your eyes, take a few moments, and just really sit with yourself and ask yourself, how safe do I feel in my body? How comfortable do I feel to inhabit my body? How safe do I feel in my environment, in my current environment? How safe do I feel in the world? And just see what arises for you, what comes up for you. Now, if you want to deepen the practice, what you're going to do is, preferably on an empty stomach, okay? Because if you're going to do any chanting of the lower chakras, especially of the root and sacral chakra, it's a little easier to feel the vibrations, feel the energy, feel the blockages, if you are on an empty stomach. So maybe first thing early in the morning or late at night before you sleep, with a gap between your meals. So you're going to do about 5 to 10 counts of deep breathing, deep diaphragmatic breath, really expanding the stomach and then allowing it to come in like a full inhale and exhale. And when you exhale, you want to allow yourself to feel the breath moving down the central channel at the back and into the genitals. So really, root chakra really opens up when the breath is a full exhale, when it's a full exhalation, and you can feel that exhalation in the genital area, okay? And down to the toes, basically. So you want to do 5 to 10 counts of deep breathing, and then focus onto your tailbone after you have done 5 to 10 counts of deep breathing, and request your root chakra to reveal to you any blockages at the level of the root as pain, pressure, or sensation in those parts of your body. So you'll bring all of your awareness, all of your focus, all of your attention onto your tailbone, and then you will request your root chakra in your mind or out loud to reveal to you all of the blockages, all of the stagnant energies in the root chakra as pain, pressure, or sensation in your root chakra. If there are no blockages, you will feel nothing. If there are blockages, you will feel pain, pressure, or sensation anywhere where those blockages exist. So if it is in your legs, you may feel it in your legs, you may feel it in the tailbone itself, in the knees, in the feet, the toes, the lower part of the spine, or wherever it is that you feel the blockages. And then you can also request for your subconscious to reveal to you what is the emotion. And again, you will say, okay, if my root chakra is storing fear, reveal it to me. If it is storing rage, reveal it to me. And then let that energy rise up, whatever it is. And then you can request the root, request the chakra to dissolve all of these blockages, basically, to release all of these blockages and return you to your original divine blueprint. Request your root chakra to come into its most balanced, harmonious, and aligned orientation. Okay? And of course, you may have to do, maybe the work requires you to go a bit deeper, So it may require you to really take a magnifying glass and look at life. So look at your environment. Do you feel safe and secure in your environment, in your home? Are you in the aligned environment for yourself? And definitely if you are on the Kundalini awakening process and your environment is not correct for you while you are going through that root chakra purification and cleansing, you will be moved into a more aligned environment, an environment that supports the evolution of your consciousness, that supports your expansion. And if you want to do chanting for the root chakra, the Beej mantra is Lam, L-A-M. And when you do the chanting, you want to inhale and chant on the exhalation and really feel the vibrations down in the pelvic area. So really low and guttural, and that's why it's much easier to do it when you are on an empty stomach. Or the other time is to do it before you sleep at night. And please be aware that when we do Lam chanting, what can happen is we can feel fear and rage rise. So if you do it before you sleep, request your subconscious, request your root chakra to disintegrate all of these blockages while you sleep and integrate the divine lights that are aligned for the root chakra to come into its most balanced, most harmonious orientation. So now I'm going to go into the root chakra during the Kundalini awakening process, okay? In the beginning of the Kundalini awakening process, when the Kundalini, when Shakti is rising, when Ma is rising, and if she is cleansing out your root chakra, you can experience a lot of fear. Okay, you can experience fear of the unknown, you can experience fear of the darkness. Some of that is fear of facing your own darkness, okay? Facing those aspects of yourself that have been buried, remain hidden. It can also be fear of what is going to come to light, okay? Because the ego may have spent a very long time protecting you, keeping you safe. It may have stored things away right in the basement, okay, and locked it tight away, and now that basement is opening. And so what can come up is, let's say if you experienced anything in your life which your mind decided was not safe for you to face at that time. So let's say there was abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, anything like that, that can come to light during the Kundalini awakening process. So any experience in this lifetime or your past lifetimes where there was fear, and a lot of fear, may open up for you to now process that experience, okay? You may get also experiences with entities, dark thought forms during the time of the root chakra purification. This can be unsettling, frightened, and scary. And usually those entities get attached to us when we are in lower vibrational states, because we open up the pathways, okay? So if we are in anxiety, fear, depression, rage for too long, that allows those energies to get attached into our energy field, and we will experience them. Some of those entities are actually our own darkness that have taken that form. So if you are experiencing dark entities, I would suggest to you that you connect to the angels, connect to Hanumanji, connect to any form of divinity which is a protector, basically, or a guardian that really works. It will help your energy field to become strong, and it will stop any other negative thought forms from coming towards you collectively, but also individually. It will help you to start cleansing out those negative thought forms and protecting and shielding your energy field so that more attachments do not happen. Another thing that can happen during the root chakra process is that you're going to move out of survival mode. So you will be shown where you have been functioning in survival mode, and then you're going to alchemize out of that. So you're not going to be functioning in a survival mode any longer. And that is going to be at every level. You are going to be shown, whether it is your job, whether it is your health, whether it is your relationships, whether it is where you live, anything that concerns your physical reality will come up for review at that time. And by the way, when the root chakra is being cleansed, it can feel very destabilizing, okay? Because these are our survival programs, which are literally being coming up to be reviewed, to be refined, to be purified. That can be frightening, because if I have behaved in a certain ways to survive, to get my needs met, to get my food, my shelter, my clothing met, what I'm really going to be asked is to surrender all of these ways to Ma, to the divine, to understanding that it is not the small I, it is not that small self that is responsible for providing, but it is the divine itself that is going to provide for me. That it is God, that it is the Divine Mother, that I have to trust that whatever is being stripped away, whatever unsettlement is coming, wherever I am being pulled out of my roots, I am going to be land into a much more fertile, secure space for myself, and that it is the divine that is providing that space for me. So you are going to be asked to come into complete trust and surrender if, for example, your root is getting purified. You're going to be asked to come into that understanding that it is God, Mother, Father, God, Source, that is your provider. That it is the divine consciousness itself that is your provider. Is your provider of money, is your provider of security, is your provider of safety. And that connection is within you. It is not outside of you. And it will be tested. You will feel tested. That's what I will say. You will feel tested. The ego will feel extremely tested at that point, when things are being stripped away from you, when the external reality may go quiet, when you lose those clients, when I don't know, when you're not feeling safe and comfortable and happy in the space you're living, but maybe at a certain point you're not seeming to find anything else. You are going to be asked to come into deep levels of trust with yourself and with the divine, and to understand that you are divinely provided for. It is God's source energy that is providing for you, and that you are going to be looked after. When it comes to the cleansing of the collective feminine wound, the feminine energy, okay, and any past, let's say past life or collective trauma of the collective feminine, this can be very intense. For me, I experienced it very intensely, and that was really when Kali Ma her grace was upon me, but of course, during that cleansing was very, very, very intense for me. That root cleansing. So physically, energetically, for 2 to 3 years, I had constant vibrations in my legs. I was not able to sleep at night at all, because the vibrations were too much for me. My mind wasn't able to switch off. And when I had a particular cleansing of a past life, basically, when I was going through a root chakra recalibration, and Kali Ma's energy was working through me. Essentially, at that time, I hurt my lower back area and I wasn't able to move. For like about 6 weeks, I was kind of essentially forced into a forced surrender. That was the second time on my journey. It was a forced surrender where I was not able to move. And it was extremely difficult because that was a very deep level root chakra cleansing that was happening to do with past life sexual trauma and current life sexual trauma. So when you are going through those particular root chakra cleansings, you can feel extreme energy of, let's say, depression, okay, hopelessness, feeling defeated, feeling lifeless, feeling all of that confusion, let's say, especially when it's to do with sexual trauma or sexual abuse. You can definitely, when that is cleansing out of you. So let's say if the first thing that gets cleansed out is the fear that was there from that experience. Then let's say the next thing that will be cleansed out at the level of the root is rage. Okay, the rage at that time of, let's say, feeling violated, but not being able to scream, not being able to make a noise, make a sound, that will get cleared out. So it's really important when you're having these clearings, please have so much compassion and love for yourself. Really, because it's that version of you that, for whatever reason, wasn't safe at that point to express, that is going to express itself now. And it will end, it will pass. So what you have to do is give yourself so much love, anchor into the divine, get yourself support, whether that is a guide, whether that is an energy healer. At the level of the body, you can do acupuncture, craniosacral therapy, osteopathy. Find what works for you, but you need support at the level of emotionally, mentally, and at the level of the body. And of course, knowing that the divine is always there for you. Ma really helped me to get through that time, even though I was furious with her. I was angry with her, but looking back, I understand why it was such a important purification for me to do in my life, at the individual level and also at the collective level, why it was really, really important for these energy imprints of deep-rooted rage and fear, for the collective feminine to be really transmuted, back into love, back into sovereignty, back into healing and all these things. So, but it is intense when you go through it. But coming out of the other side, you will definitely feel reborn. You will understand. You will move through life and the world feeling much more safe in your body. Okay, feeling that it's okay to be in the body. And the body carries wisdom, especially for women. So when we're disconnected from the wisdom of our womb, of our root, it's not a good thing. And of course, for a very long time, we've lived in a system of patriarchy. And the patriarchy has done a great disservice to both men and women and to the feminine energy. So now is the time of the return of the Great Mother, the return of the feminine energy. And that means that it's also a return to the wisdom of the body. We're no longer going to override the signals of our body. We're going to be embodied. We're moving into a time period where it is imperative to feel safe in our body, to feel safe and belonged to Mother Earth, to feel that we are embraced, we are provided for. Mother Earth is abundant. I mean, look around, look behind me. Mother Earth is abundant. She is abundant. And when we come into right relationship with her and with her energies within us, then abundance is our birthright. We will always be provided for. That's what we have to understand. We will always be provided for. Our needs will be provided for. But in order to get to that space, we have to cleanse out all those layers of separation, lack, scarcity, survival, famine, that we have been carrying with us collectively and individually for lifetimes. So thank you so much. And that was today's root chakra video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And I will make a separate root chakra meditation for anyone who wants to do this work by themselves. All my love.